Hi, everyone. Welcome to our panel. Thank you for joining us today. I know Sunday, 4 p.m. is kind of prime time for date night, Valentine's Day. So we really appreciate you joining us here today. And shout outs to our sponsors, Herbaland, for sponsoring this panel. My name is Kristen. For those who don't know me, I am the AESA Health and Wellness Executive, and I'm joined by Jonathan today. So maybe he can give his own intro.
So, hi guys, I'm very excited to be part of this panel. So my name is Jonathan Charest. I'm the sleep specialist. I'm the director of the athlete program at the Center for Sleep here in Calgary. And I'm also a behavioral sleep medicine specialist who holds a PhD in psychology. So today, hopefully we can enlighten you with some sleep content to help you with your performance.
Yeah, and just some background on me. Right now, I'm in hand therapy, but I've previously worked in acute care in the hospital with medically ill patients. So, like, where sleep is a huge factor in how they function physically and cognitively. And so, this panel will be talking about sleep in the context of esports, how you can get better sleep, what factors kind of contribute to this prevalence of bad sleep in our communities. And then we'll dive into some of Jonathan's research and how our community can participate in that, and a sneak peek at our upcoming module sometime in March, hopefully, about sleep, where we go more into depth about the mechanics. So yeah, maybe we'll start off by talking about gamer culture. So what is culture even? Like, just to define it, it's like shared attitudes, values, and customs of a particular group. And in gaming culture, we really don't have any structure when it comes to sleep, right? So if we compare it to traditional sports, athletes who show potential at a very young age, they have access to talent development pathways and um, support structurally and education to enhance their performance. And that includes adequate nutrition, obtaining sufficient sleep. So these things are promoted at a baseline in order to increase the likelihood of competitive success. But in comparison, in gamer culture, the pathway to professional esports is far less institutionalized, and it's predominantly unregulated and unstructured. So a lot of us start off casual. Like for myself, I started off playing with my cousins when I was a kid, and then I just kind of got introduced to competitive play in like university. I joined a club, and it kind of just took off from there. So as a result, as most people start off with unhelpful or dysfunctional beliefs when it comes to sleeping, and yeah, we just lack that oversight, support, and educational privileges. And then we glorify grinding. So like I'm talking like 13 hours plus a day of just excessive practicing. And we prioritize that over other considerations like nutrition, physical activity, and sleep, right? So at elite levels, optimal performance is paramount for competitive success. So esports athletes may be starting at a disadvantage because gaming culture predisposes us to unhelpful wake behaviors that compromise sleep and in turn like our performance. Kind of agree with that, Jonathan?
I agree with most of what you said. I mean, there's a big difference between traditional athletes and athletes. I mean, but you also have a lot of similarities, meaning that
Mm.
a lot of athletes will thrive on I'll train twice a day, even 3 times a day. And while you sleep, I train, therefore I improve my performance while you're not doing anything. And may not come to the same baseline or train of thought for e-athletes, but the end result is the same because you're thinking you're spending 20 hours in a day training with your game. You're not necessarily improving more than the other e-athletes that will prioritize the sleep. Again, it's not about lecturing any athletes here. It's about the education and what is the role of sleep and why sleep will in fact enhance your training when it is incorporated into your schedule.
Hmm. Like we were just talking about, like within gaming culture, Red Bull, caffeinated project is widely prevalent, right? So we had a talk prior. How do we reconcile those things in our culture? So where Red Bull, Monster, etc., those kinds of drinks are prevalent, but we're also trying to promote sleep. So where is the balance in that?
Yeah, that is a question that is coming back from every athlete. In fact, every type of sport has this challenge. And to give you an example, I know that in e-athletes, it's highly prevalent, the Red Bull coffee consumption. But there is an NFL player with whom I'm working, and they can drink up to 24 cup of coffee per day. So
Wow.
because they are thriving on this, they need their coffee to push more weight. They need their coffee to stay awake. And they always have a good excuses to have coffee. But the problem with this is when you thrive on coffee, Red Bull, Monster, well, you will impact your ability to initiate sleep the following night, therefore impacting the recovery of your sleep, waking up tired and then needing an extra cup of coffee. And now you're stuck in a vicious circle. So when you step back and you look at this, what you look with the athletes and the athletes, it's about when should you consume the coffee or when should you consume the Red Bull or any energy drink for that matter, in order to help you with your training session or your competition without impairing your sleep. So it's not a big no, you should not drink this at all. It's about when do you schedule it so it can enhance your performance without impacting your sleep. So then you have the best of the two worlds. You can get the recovery from your sleep and get the ergogenic help from your energy drink.
Yeah, I really like that. That's very enlightening for me personally, because I used to have a lot of dissonance between we're promoting Red Bull, but we're also promoting good sleep. But now that you like say that, it's just about regulation, timing, and scheduling, right? Which I really like relate with, and like I think that's great, especially when you try to promote good sleep to like the community. And a lot of people are aware of this problem, or but they feel like apathetic to change, or they feel like they don't need to, or that they don't think that they can. So introducing that with like the scheduling, I think is like a great motivator for lots of people to start making those changes or looking at their own life and seeing how that change like fits in personally.
Yeah, a lot of athletes, well, in fact, most of human beings taking simple things and making them complicated. And when you look at what sleep is, mainly it's a scheduling matter. I mean, aside
Hmm.
all the primary disorders that you may have, but let's not dive into this. Let's assume it's only poor sleep hygiene. You bring this back to a scheduling matter. When do you sleep? When
Hmm.
should you sleep? Do you sleep at 10, 11, midnight, or 1 o'clock in the morning? Which there is, in fact, not much difference in terms of recovery. And we can dive into that a little later. And after that, depending on your sleep schedule, you can have your coffee schedule. So now you're avoiding
Mm.
that cognitive dissonance of, well, should I take coffee? No, it's bad for my health, but man, I need it. So this is where you step back in
Hmm.
your role. Coffee is not bad when it's used strategically.
Right. And would the same kind of go for taking naps? I've heard both camps where like naps are good in terms of like regaining energy if you've had lost sleep the night prior, but also you shouldn't sleep during the day in naps because it'll affect how you sleep later on. Like, what is that similar to caffeine?
It would be similar to caffeine in the fact that it's again going back to a scheduling matter. If my bedtime, my traditional bedtime is let's take 11 to 7, and I'm having a nap at 6 p.m. Of course, I may have more difficulty falling asleep at 11
Right.
because my sleep pressure will be uh, lower. Well, for the napping, what you're trying to achieve is with the circadian rhythm, just a fancy word that will mean that when should you be in bed and when should you not attempt to sleep. In the middle of the
Hmm.
afternoon, you usually have a dive in your energy. And it is completely normal. And this is when you should have your nap 20, 30 minutes of your nap, let's say between 2 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And when I mean 20, 30 minutes, it's literally 20, 30-minute time. So you use your cell phone, we all have these, and you have a 30-minute, you fold, you sleep as much as you can. If you do initiate sleep, when the tone rings 30 minutes later, you get up and you continue, and that will be more efficient than any coffee in the world. Why? Because you do not replace sleep. But again,
Mm-hmm.
a maladaptive nap can be as detrimental. If you sleep too late and you're not able to initiate sleep at your normal bedtime, then you did not have a good nap. You had a maladaptive nap that will impair your following night.
Mm. Okay, so it takes a lot of self-control to really get up when that timer goes off,
Well, if you need
which is another
self-control,
matter.
yeah, if you need to have self-control to get off the couch, though, that's an indication of sleep deprivation. You may need
Right.
more than what you're getting. So the nap can also be used as a little yellow flag. Okay, so if after 30 minutes I'm not feeling refreshed,
Mm-hmm.
then again, it's looking at what are you doing? Why are you not refreshed with a normal night plus a nap? That's abnormal. And then you should
Mm-hmm.
dive into, okay, what's happening with my sleep? Is it the coffee? Is it my bedtime? Is it my sleep hygiene? And do I have any sleep primary disorder? Because after 8 hour plus a nap,
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So in terms of that nap, like related to that, people who can't fall asleep right away, like if they take 10 minutes to fall asleep and it ends up being like a 20-minute nap, you're still getting up like at that when the timer goes off?
yeah, so the napping is not the time you are asleep. The napping is the time you're
Ah,
shutting down. So
oh,
let's say
okay.
no, it's for 11, but for the sake of the example, it's for 10. It's one,
Mm-hmm.
two, three, go. I'm folding, and at
Yep.
4, if I
Oh,
did some, it's
okay.
20 minutes, 30 minutes. I'm up at 4:30 or 4:40, regardless of the time I've slept. So if you slept between 7 and 12 minutes, you had in fact a very good nap, and that seven to
Oh.
12 minutes is better than any coffee again. And while you're sinking into sleep, so you're in that shallow sleep that you don't know if you're awake or asleep yet. Well, usually you are what we call stage one of sleep. So you are already recovering from that.
Mhm.
If you do fall asleep instantly, again, the yellow flag of you might have been sleep deprived, my man.
Oh, okay. That's a good clarification to make because when I was in school still, I would set my timer at 30 minutes and then when it would go off, I would say, "Oh, well, it took me like 10 minutes to fall asleep, so I'll just press snooze for another 10 minutes." So that's yeah, that's I've been doing it wrong this whole time. All right.
So now you know. So it's 30-minute time.
Total time. Okay. Yeah, for the future. I'll take that going with me. So, yeah, there are like going off that note of taking long time to fall asleep, like even at night, I know that lots of people in the gaming community they struggle with insomnia or like difficulties falling asleep for hours where they're just rolling around and they're not getting good enough sleep, they're not feeling refreshed in the morning. And I know some of it's tied to it could be like anxiety or like mood, things like that. Like, what do you have any tips, like how people can kind of combat that or
Of course. So we're looking at a very multi-factor question here. So let's take someone
Mhm.
who has difficulty falling asleep, and so of course, we take any athlete, a gamer. So the first question we need to ask is, well, how long do you spend in bed? So how many time do you spend in bed? So are you going in bed at 10 because you are hoping to get 8 hours, the famous 8 hours sleep by 6? And what you're doing is in fact running after time. And time
Mhm.
is a social concept. I mean, you don't control time, so you don't run after it. So first
Wow.
thing first is, when should you be in bed? Referring to my circadian rhythm. Someone goes to bed between 9 and 5, 10 and 6, 11 and 7, 12 and 8, 1 and 9. These are all 8 hour window of opportunity that are created equal. What it means is,
Oh.
but they're not created equal for everyone. So I
Mm.
am personally an 11 to 7 as we speak right now. So my
Okay.
window is 11 to 7. You, on the other hand, let's assume you are a night owl. If you go to bed
Mhm.
at 1 and wake up at 9 and you're refreshed in the morning, And all of a sudden, you're telling yourself, well, you know what? Apparently, the best hour of sleep are before midnight. So might as well go in bed at 11 till 7. But you're just jumping from your 1 to 9 to 11 to 7. So now you are in what we call a misalignment circadianly. So you're not going to
Mm-hmm.
fall asleep at 11 because that's not what you're meant to. I'm meant to fall asleep at
Mm-hmm.
11. You may not. And it goes also for those who fall asleep at 9 and wake up at 5. It only depends on what is your circadian rhythm, what is your preference. Are you an early bird, an in between, or a night owl? And from there, when we have that baseline, you are a 1 to 9, but you're coming here and, well, I cannot wake up at 9 because I do work or I have this to do, I have these obligations. Now we can shift you with a strategy. It's shifting
Mm.
strategies so we can make develop the ability to initiate sleep earlier. So do not fight your
Okay.
biology. You get to learn what type of sleeper you are, and then you can shift.
Mm-hmm. Actually quite powerful. Like time is a social construct. Our brains are very plastic, so they can shift that optimal window, and that's actually quite helpful for most of our like community. So, esports athletes tend to be younger, and so that like developmentally, does that predispose them to like a more strong like eveningness tendency? So a lot of
Absolutely.
them, yeah, and they're just forced to wake
Absolutely.
up really early because of school. So that's another thing.
Yeah,
Okay, but
absolutely. So on that, we throughout your life, you may shift as a sleeper. So I always take myself as
mm-hmm,
an example. I'm always a guinea pig in the clinic. As as a university student, I was a very powerful night owl. 2, 3 o'clock in
mm-hmm,
the morning was my time. Today, if I go to bed past midnight, I'm dying. I'm useless. But if you look at the literature to answer your question for the younger population of what e-athletes are, it's only natural that they're shifting back to a night owl type of sleeper. It's biology.
mm-hmm,
I wouldn't say it's 100% of them, but vast majority of them will tend to have a later bedtime and that shift is starting from 14, 16 years old and can go as far as 25 years old. So these teenager and young adult, when they wake up at 6, 7, 8 in the morning and they're completely zombie, they're not
mm-hmm,
lazy. They're just completely
right.
misaligned. And yes, they do have to get up for school, and we're fighting on this. It's called there's a project out there to start school later, and it's happening across the
Ah,
country in Canada and United States because of that very particular problem and knowledge that young people they do sleep later and because they need to biologically speaking. So there's nothing wrong
mm-hmm,
with you guys. It's just that society is not unfortunately meant for a night owl, but there's a way to make you optimal though.
mm-hmm. Yeah, we're getting a lot of affirmations in the chat saying that they relate to that, and that piece of information is very validating.
All
I
right.
mean, yeah, so yeah, definitely like that is a predisposing factor to like what contributes to the sleep disturbances in our community. And certainly there are other like precipitating factors. So in the gaming community, I know that stressful events that typically results in acute sleep disturbance. So anxiety before competitions, or if you've ever had to travel for competition and like being that one driver, that designated person who has to drive everyone early in the morning to different city, different province, and then they're the zombie while everyone else is sleeping in the car and they're okay. Like factors like that
Yeah, so
all
that's
contribute.
that was the point of e-athletes are not that different from traditional athletes. These are all
Mm-hmm.
the same challenges we're seeing with athletes. So when it comes to this, it goes with preparation. So the pre-competition anxiety. Now your
Mm-hmm.
problem is not sleep, it's a pre-competition anxiety. How do we assess this? How do we lower this to a maximum so you can actually initiate sleep efficiently? But having
Mm-hmm.
said that, it's only normal to have pre-competition anxiety. When I work with the Olympic athletes, I know for a fact that before their event at the Olympic Games, they're not going to sleep well. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
fact, and it's normal. Try to tell someone that the day before the biggest the night that before the biggest day of their life, well, sleep 8 hours and you'll be fine. No, of course they're gonna think about their heaven the next day. So it's about banking sleep. So what you want to do is you are
Oh.
banking your sleep prior these kind of competition. So perfectly knowing that even if you're very good with your pre-competition anxiety, you're still going to sleep a little less than usual. But because you've been sleeping so well for 2, 3, 4 weeks, that shorter night, the consequences on the next day will be trivial because you have so much sleep in the bank.
Mm. Wow. That's super helpful. Yeah, knowing that you can't really escape that short amount of sleep the night prior, but you can account for it or mitigate it with weeks worth of planning.
Absolutely. Again, always go back to scheduling. People, they
Hmm.
want to make the sleep a scapegoat of this big mountain and they don't know how to approach it. No, it's how many hours sleep can I put in my bank weekly? It's
Hmm.
weekly, it's not nightly.
Okay. And I just want to take this moment to like if anyone in the chat has any questions on sleep or esports and like how they can improve their sleep, anything like that, just throw it in the comments and we'll pick up on those and answer them as they come. Yeah. I know, like, if we go into treatment now for sleep disturbances in athletes, traditionally there are like sleep hygiene, like napping, wind down times. How much of that like applies to athletes, and like what more is there to expand on?
It applies to athletes tremendously. I mean, as I
Mm,
said, I rarely treat any athlete differently than a traditional athlete.
okay.
I
Hmm.
mean, the biggest difference with them is the time they spend in front of a screen because that's their sport, and you can plan on
Hmm.
this. So sleep hygiene is very, very important for everyone, athletes, non-athletes, e-athletes. But keep always this in mind. If you have developed insomnia, sleep hygiene is pretty much the same thing as dental hygiene trying to resolve a cavity. It's too
Mm.
late. So yes, you should stick to your sleep hygiene, but you have more work to do in order to assess the insomnia. And what is the most powerful and efficient treatment is called CBTI, so cognitive behavioral treatment for insomnia. And this is what you would be looking for if you have developed insomnia. So the sleep hygiene, the rule of sleep hygiene is knowing your window of opportunity, having your wind down routine, a pre bedtime routine that you like, not a pre bedtime routine for
Hmm.
sleep. It's that you
Hmm.
like. The napping whenever you can, having a strategic schedule for the coffee, and the rest will be history. You'll sleep normally.
Yeah, and just like touching down on that wind down time, like I think that's super important. Something I try to incorporate into my schedule as well. Like training, playing games, playing in competitions, it requires a high level of attention and concentration. It uses up our cognitive reserves. It can cause stress that results in hyperarousal, right? And hyperarousal can interfere with sleep. And so incorporating that wind down time to essentially like de-arouse ourselves in preparation for sleep is important. And we had a panel on this in a previous event, or it was at Salt Flats, about meditation. So that could also be a like strategy to wind down.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of athletes are into the meditation, guided meditation, mindfulness. There's, I don't know how many apps out there to help you wind down with these guided meditation. But the bottom line with me and the athletes when I work with them, the first question with this is, do you even like it? I mean, we throw
Mm,
meditation at everyone, and
right.
if you like it, of course, stick to it. It's a wonderful strategy, and it does wonder. However, if you're one of these athletes, e-athletes that hates meditation with passion, please do not go down that path. You will
Mm,
lose. You will try it for 2 weeks and wonder what's wrong with you, and you will give up, and rightfully so. So that's why, and I said it just before, the wind down period is something you like, that you know, that
Mhm.
puts you in a place where you can initiate sleep easily. So that's why it's always the winding down is for you, not for sleep. Because yeah, of course, meditation is good for sleep. Yeah, but do you like it? Can you
It's a
do
good
this
point.
on a constant sleep basis? If you cannot stick to it, what good will it do for you? In 2 weeks' time, it will be out of the window, pretty much like your New Year's resolution. So you don't need
Oh,
that.
the call outs. Oh my gosh. You're being so real right now. Like that's true. Like meditation, it is thrown out a lot and it is beneficial, but totally isn't for everybody. And like if you give it an honest try, and it is hard to get into, it takes lots of practice, lots of commitment. But yeah, so what are other activities that could take its place? Like anything that, sorry, relaxes you essentially?
Yeah. So the way I approach this, so so again with my 11 to 7 sleeper, so assumingly done eating by 6 7. So mainly the most important time is between 7 and 11 p.m. What do we do there? So we get out the example of the toolbox. So yes, meditation can be one
Mhm.
of your tools. Reading can be another tool. Stretching, yoga can be tools. Drawing, painting, to-do lists, thankful list. There's millions of things that you can do. Actually, it's all about hobbies. What do you like to do outside of your actual student life or your athlete life that you always postpone or delay? I'm going
Mhm.
to do this when I'm done in school. I'm going to, no, it's, you have free time there.
Right.
What do you like to do that has nothing related to sleep, to your sports, to your studies, that you crave, that you wish you could have more time? Well, there is the time to do it. So by doing this, you're de-arousing your brain. You're doing something you like, and following that, this is when you put your brain into sleep mode. Because always
Mhm.
remember this: sleep is not something that you do; it's something that happens to you. So your brain needs to
Ah.
be ready in order to initiate sleep. Otherwise, again, you won't, because you don't do sleep. You need to prepare the stage so sleep can happen.
Blowing my mind right now with this change in perspective. So we have some questions from the chat. So spaced out blonde Courtney, she's asking, I'm someone who sleeps a lot when stressed. What do you recommend as a way to prevent the constant naps, which affect nightly sleep?
All right, so if you sleep a lot when you are stressed, so why are the reason you're escaping the day of your stress by sleeping? So I will have two approach on this. Or are you hypersomniac or idiopathic insomnia, or are you escaping the stress by shutting down the brain? So there are two
Interesting.
ways of seeing that. So I would say, again, when you know that there is an event coming, you want to bank as much sleep as possible. You want to develop that napping ability and live by the chrono, meaning respect the chrono of your 30-minute napping. And then, of course, after
Mm,
30-minute nap, you have this little part of the sleep inertia we call. This is a fighting part that you need to overcome. And then, if you maintain your normal hour of sleep, even into these stressful days, if you're not good with this, then I will suggest being screened by a sleep clinician, because no, you should not sleep that much if you're that stressed, if your night of sleep are okay.
all right. And Jester LSC2, they ask, my main problem with sleep is when I go to bed, I still think of my games. I play an MMO, so when I lay down in bed, I think about all the things I still need to do the next day.
Yeah, so that's a very, very common problem. So keep that in mind. Your brain, highly, highly intelligent, but easily tricked. So if you're playing games and all of a sudden you're stopping the game and transitioning immediately to bed,
Right.
you're bringing everything
Hmm.
with you. You did not have this really relaxation time, this wind down time. So again, it goes back to my scheduling. You should allow yourself a little 30, 45 minutes to actually write down your thoughts. What are your objectives? What are you actually thinking about? Get all these ideas out of your head in order to put your brain into sleep mode. That's the idea. If your brain is still in game mode, even though you are 15 minutes later than your bedtime, do not go in bed. Don't be stubborn. You need to prepare the stage of sleep. Sleep can wait a little. So if you 15, 30 minutes to prepare your brain by writing down your thoughts or your to-do list or your solution sheet, you're not losing 30 minutes of sleep. You're investing into the 7 following hours.
Mm. That sounds very similar to some like principles of mindfulness where we're trying to take our mind out of past or future events and then really be in the moment. And I think that's helpful when it comes to winding down.
Yeah, lots of similarities.
Right, it's Jimbo. He asks, I was going to ask if you had any tips for dealing with anxiety and trying to get a good night's sleep. I find myself waking up 4 or 5 times to make sure I wake up on time, and I don't even give my alarm a chance to go off. That is relatable. Holy.
All right. So, first, if your alarm is your anchor, your alarm is your safety net, in fact. Again, my 11 to 7. That person doesn't want to awake later than 7 o'clock in the morning for school or work. Should he reach 7 o'clock or his alarm every morning? Absolutely not. It's, in fact, his anchor and safety net. So it goes back to when do you go in bed? Are you in bed too early? That is as detrimental as in too late. So if you're waking up multiple times, I will also ask, well, is there a possibility of sleep apnea there? Or if there is
Mm.
no possibility and it's only stress related, again, your brain was not in sleep mode. You are falling asleep out of sleep pressure, but your brain is so hyper aroused that a small noise may awake you. A small thought that may be stressful may get you out of sleep, and now your brain is going in overdrive. That is the stimulus control theory. Basically, you are in bed not only to sleep, but you are in bed to worry, stress, get frustrated. All these behaviors should be taken out of the bed. Your bed is only for sleeping. If you're not there to sleep and you're there to worry, get up. And I don't care what time it is in the night or the day. You get up, you reassess, what am I thinking about? What am I doing? I'm stressing out about this. Slow this down, then resume your sleep. And as you're doing this, you will reinforce the behavior, the unconscious behavior of being in bed while sleeping and worry outside of your bed.
Yeah, like that unconscious connection between sleep and like your bed is something that should be established quite early or right away if possible, right? So a lot of people I know have their gaming setups like right next to their bed or in the same room. And unfortunately, like that can disrupt that connection between bed and sleep.
Oh, yeah, big, big time. And again, this will go so you have the theory and you will have the reality. So, one of the first questions we ask with e-athletes is where is your gaming setup? If it's in the
Mm.
bedroom, we ask, is it possible to move it out? And depending on if it is or if it's not, there is strategy to accommodate both. So if you absolutely need to keep your gaming in your bedroom, don't worry, you are not doomed. There is strategy for that. And to answer the previous question, you should have a worry list mixed with a solution list. Worry, answer them by a solution before going to bed and leave it on the kitchen table, not on the night table, because you will write down while you sleep after you wake up.
Uh-huh. So yeah, what are the strategies if someone has their gaming setup in their room, like to
So
mitigate
the
that connect?
strategy, so you, what I do with them is I make them draw or they bring a picture of their bedroom setting. So where is your desk? Where is your bed? And so on and so forth. So when you're gaming, do you see your bed? That is the most important thing. So are
Mm.
you parallel to your bed, or is your bed in back behind you? So it goes with the stimulus control theory. I don't want you to be able to associate anything related to sleep or your bed or your sleep environment to your gaming. We're trying to make your bed almost an invisible object while you're gaming. So that's the most important thing. And of course, needless to say, do not game in your bed, please. Do not sit in your bed while gaming. Have a chair, have something. But for the setup, it goes all with this, how your bedroom is set up. Do you see your bed? If so,
Mhm.
we should change how the bedroom is structured as much as possible.
Simple changes can be quite impactful. That's really interesting. So I have a similar question from Hong Kong Disco GG Andrew. He asks, I have a problem with sleeping through alarms. Is there a way for me to adjust that? I've set 5+ alarms on multiple devices, but still sleep right through them.
All right. Well, so we have this also a lot with young teenager and young adult that goes to bed
Hmm.
way too late. So depending on how much time you sleep, so if you go to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and your alarm is set at 7, 7:15, 7:30, yes, of course it's going to be a problem. But let's assume you're sleeping long enough and you still are sleeping through your alarm. So if that is one of the problems, have an alarm as annoying as possible, so a rooster, and you have it far enough from your bed so that you will need to physically get up to shut it down.
Ah. Hmm.
Do not have it
Hmm.
next to you so you can snooze. So
Hmm.
it's so be careful, everyone. So yes, if you snooze, you win, but not in that case. So in that case, in that particular case, please have the alarm set as a no loud as possible so you will actually get up of your bed, get out of your bed, shut it down, and then after that it's all about self-control. Please do not go back in bed. You need to go on with your day.
Uh-huh. I think that self-control piece is very important. I know there are times where I've definitely gotten up. I've used that strategy. I've gotten up to turn it off, and then either go leave the room, brush your teeth, or just flop back into bed. Like, oh, it's really hard,
Light,
but it comes with
light,
practice. Yeah.
light. The first thing you do after you snooze, you open every curtain. Light is your best friend in the
Mm,
morning.
okay. What if it's winter? It's dark.
Well,
Well, I
if
guess
it's
you
winter,
just turn on the light and
you have these little bright light that you can.
ah,
There is multiple solution. Don't worry. So
okay.
if it's 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, we are up north here in Calgary. It's freezing. I know it's dark. So
Oh
your
yeah.
best friend is light in the morning, but in the evening it's your worst enemy. So see. So again, scheduling.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. All right. It's no excuses. No excuses. You can buy artificial light. All
Yes.
right. So Ryan, he says this might have been addressed earlier, but I think a lot of gamers tend to stay up too late because they're trying to get in one last good game. Is there a way to stay disciplined when you go to bed, even when you don't want to?
So
Which we
that's
were just
always the
talking
million
about.
dollar. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
$1 million question. So that for the common population. So those who are not athletes and e-athletes, that is the Netflix or Crave TV question. So to
Hmm.
what extent is Netflix bad for you? My answer to this is always it's not that bad as long as you're able to shut it off. It will be the same thing for your gaming. To what extent can you shut off the game? So if that's a problem, then your sleep is not the issue, and the blue light that the screen may emit is not even the primary issue. It's your self-control of the gaming. How can we assess this? And that will be the first thing that we will work on is, all right, so why are you not able to shut down the game even though you know you should be sleeping? So sleep is
Hmm.
not even on the front burner for you. It would be, let's get down to make you skilled or habilitated to actually put an end to your gaming. So yeah, it
Hmm.
goes back to self-control. I know it's a very boring answer and probably not the answer you were
Oh
looking
no.
for, but that is the true answer.
It's the answer that nobody really wants to hear. It's up to you. It's your own self-control. It's no easy fix there.
No, no,
Uh,
it's not easy.
yeah. Brad, Smash Logic asks, Have you ever heard of connection between aphantasia and troubles falling asleep? I found I have an easier time falling asleep in the middle of doing something than I do once I finish it and lay my head. That's
So
the
if
first
I
time I'm
understand,
hearing of that term.
yeah, so if I'm understanding correctly, so you're doing an activity and you're falling asleep while doing it. Is that what I'm understanding?
Um, yeah, I'm not sure if like
So
is
have
that
you
I
ever
guess is
heard
that an issue? Yeah,
your time
that
falling
is what
asleep?
he's asking.
I honestly, what if I had you face to face in the clinic? I would probably say, hold on to that thought. I will look more into it. Because if
Ah,
someone is
okay.
falling asleep while doing something, it could raise a whole other set of issue. So I would say, for the sake of the example, is if you need to finish something before falling asleep, it goes with the same logic as someone who has not the ability to shut down the computer or the gaming.
Mhm.
So if really you need to end your task or your activity before going to bed, that is what needs to be addressed and not the sleeping,
Mhm. Yeah,
if I
so
understand
like
properly.
what he's adding to that is that he's the kind of person who can fall asleep while driving, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. So excessive
in that
daytime
vein,
sleepiness.
I know a couple of people who have similar issues and they've turned to like medications to
Yeah.
either prolong wakefulness. Like it does, is that ever like recommended
So no,
in a scenario that's not like that, I guess.
if someone is having difficulty staying awake while driving, that is a major safety issue. This person, so Smash Logic, should definitely be in a sleeping clinic to look at to the sleep issue, and this also will raise a whole other sort of question, because now it may not have anything to do with an insomnia. It may be completely opposite to this and being excessive daytime sleepiness, and this is a very major issue that should be looked into just for the safety outcome, the possible safety outcome of this.
Right. I totally agree with that. So we'll get one more quick question in, and then we'll jump into talking about Jonathan's research, how you can participate, and module in March going forward. I'm just going to cherry pick a question that seems short and sweet. I'm so sorry, everyone else who's submitted questions. What are your thoughts on melatonin? Is it something esports athletes should consider?
So melatonin has a lot of mechanism of action. So first thing first, what someone needs to understand with melatonin, it is not the hormone of sleep. It is the hormone of darkness. Just a fancy way of saying it's not meant to induce sleep, it's meant to shift time. So if you
Oh my
use
God.
melatonin in order to fall asleep, you will fail. You may fall asleep out of a
Wow.
placebo effect, or you will wake up maybe groggier than expected. So my take on melatonin is it should be used strategically on a proper schedule at a proper amount. So please don't use any 10 milligram out there. And it should be assessed with a sleep clinician or a behavioral sleep medicine specialist, because most of the time people take melatonin way too late, way too much, and they wonder why grog in the morning, because melatonin is meant to shift time, not to put you asleep. So I'm all for melatonin when it's used accordingly and properly.
Okay. So is that something that people could go to you for consultation on?
Absolutely. I mean, you just need to go at the centerforsleep.com, and you will have access to a sleep physician and myself, and all of this in clinic is all covered by AHS. So no out of the pocket money. It's all covered. So centerforsleep.com, and fire an email, and you'll be referred to one of our three sleep physician, and you may have the chance to see me face to face.
And that is huge, you guys. Like, if you just go to their website and like fill out that questionnaire, It's all covered under AHS. It's free. Like, get your sleep problems figured out and get like professional consultations. Like, that is super helpful. Like, hugely important resource. And
Yeah,
right
and you're
now,
more
like,
than
if you go on their website, there is like the athlete sleep screening questionnaire. And I believe Jonathan and his research into esports athletes are trying to develop a questionnaire for esports athletes.
Yeah, exactly. So we're trying to develop a questionnaire that will be meant for e-athletes, and the end game or the goal or the target for this will be so e-athlete can receive the same standard of care of every athlete from a sleep perspective. So with that said, we want to screen you to make sure that our questionnaire answers the challenge of e-athletes appropriately, so we can actually to the right person to assess your sleep challenge, issue, or difficulties. So that's what the research will be done on in the very, very near future. Well,
Yeah, you'll be looking for participants from the community, right?
absolutely. You will probably hear my name more and more because I'll be knocking everywhere to have e-athletes participating in my study. And it will be for you guys. Hopefully, we'll be able to validate that questionnaire and throw it out there for every e-athletes, and it will be free of access.
Yes, huge. So this is part of like that gamer culture that we were talking about in the beginning. Like, we really need a shift towards this culture that educates more and provides more resources and supports for a better sleep, so we can really enhance and optimize our performance.
Yeah,
And
and sleep is one of the pillars. So, and we are here in Alberta, and you guys, if you need help, as Christian said, we are more than happy to help.
yes, follow Jonathan on Twitter and throw out your handle. We'll promote your socials, and we'll definitely be promoting his research when it comes out.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
guys for tuning in. Thank you so much. It's been a great panel. Thank you, Jonathan, for your expertise, for answering all the community members' questions. I've been mind blown and enlightened throughout this myself, so I can imagine very helpful for everyone as well.
I'm very happy to the chance to participate in this, and I'm looking also at the chat. I'm sorry, guys, we don't have more time to answer every question, and hopefully we can redo this sooner than later so we can assess those questions. And I'll be more than happy to participate again. Very excited to be part of your community of esports, guys.
Yes, me and Jonathan are planning to make a module about sleep and esports March. So once that goes out, you guys will be free to register, sign up, and then we'll have a more formal presentation on it. But yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you guys. All right, enjoy the rest of the evening. Bye.
Take care, guys.